Time to get inspired and improve your yoga knowledge in English. You're listening to Your Yoga in English, a podcast for yogis and yoga teachers that speak English as their second or third language and want to practice or teach yoga worldwide. I'm Annie, the founder of Enga Unite, and here to guide you on the way to become the confident and knowledgeable English-speaking yogi you want to be. Hello. Today we're going to speak to Anka, and we're going to speak about adding more whole foods to your diet. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Had a really good morning, feeling really excited, buzzing for the day.
Me too. I already introduced this theme a little bit. Today we're going to speak about adding more whole foods to your diet. On Facebook and on Instagram, we have put on some polls. You would rather listen to a podcast about plants and diet or yoga teacher training. And at the end, Anka, what did they say?
So it was, to be honest, the race was head to head, very equal. I think towards the very end, a little more yoga teacher training. But I'm going to be voted for that myself too. I kind of wanted to see what that's like. So maybe that's not quite. Both are popular. It's actually great.
Yes, both were popular. So to make up for that, guys, today we're going to speak about adding plants to your diet, but we will be back with you in April to speak about preparing yourself for yoga teacher training, and especially yoga teacher trainings in English.
Exciting!
Yeah! And actually, for those that don't know already, all of April, today is the last chat of our theme of March. In March, we spoke about cleaning and cleansing and just taking care of your body. In April, we're going to speak about teaching yoga and especially teaching yoga in English. So let's start with today. Today, adding plants to your diet. There is a few terms that we want to explain before we get into the topic, right?
Yes.
I will let you do the explanation.
Okay, so well, let's jump in. First of all, I thought just quickly clean up some misconceptions of veganism and the whole plant-based diet. Basically, what you get out there, it really depends on your approach. So you can be vegan for ethical reasons, health reasons, environmental reasons, but basically, if you're eating it just means you're not eating animal product that concentrates on the things you cannot eat.
Yeah.
Then off of beer and French fries, technically. Although when we're actually looking on the health side of it, it's more important that you're not looking at what you do not eat, but you concentrate more on what you actually eat, and you aim for a whole plant-based diet, which is also without animal derived products, but it also concentrates a lot on eating unprocessed plant foods. So processed, unprocessed. Basically, when we talk about processed food, you can think of like white flour. Technically, that's processing because you mill the wheat and the brown bit left with the white flour and all. That's already processing. You're something. That brown bit, the vitamins, so you lose from the nutrition profile. So all type of processing is viewed with a critical eye. For example, it's proved that tomato juice has more active antioxidants than the tomato fruit itself. So processing doesn't necessarily mean that it's evil, but when you have the choice, try to go for the more natural, less processed ones. So basically, if you think about unprocessed, just think that nothing good is taken away, nothing bad is added. But again, with foods, the thing is that they're not good or bad. For example, almond milk. If you think about it, almond nuts have more nutrition than the almond milk. But if you compare almond milk to cow's milk, it's a much healthier option.
You mentioned there is no good or bad foods. It's only better or worse.
Yes, I don't like to label foods as good or bad.
So if there is better foods, it would be unprocessed. Worse foods are processed.
Yes.
Better is when nothing good has been taken out.
Yes.
And worse is when bad things have been added.
Yes.
Okay. Quick summarize. Okay. And you mentioned the difference between vegan and whole foods. Whole foods are just all plant-based, and vegan can be processed foods as well that maybe are not animal products but still processed.
Yes, a lot of junk is available for vegans now as well. So you can technically eat a vegan diet, but that won't mean that it's necessarily healthy. Healthier than eating all those products from animals. But again, there's a difference between just being vegan or being actually healthy, a whole food plant-based diet.
Exactly. Interesting. Okay, let's dive into this a little bit more, because yesterday we spoke about this and we went through a structure of things that we wanted to speak about. You mentioned the traffic light.
There's a traffic light checklist kind of that you can just think about when you're thinking what you're going to eat. It's the same as with traffic. So red means stop, yellow means with caution, green means go. And so basically the green foods, or like the good to go foods, are the unprocessed plant-based foods. So you can anytime, as much as you like, obviously with reasonable limits, but that's kind of always a go-go. Then yellow is like with caution, it would be processed vegan food or processed plant-based food. Here I'm not necessarily meaning vegan milk chocolate, I mean white flour, for example, so like slightly processed. And then for someone who's like transitioning, I would also put in the yellow category unprocessed animal products, or like cleaner animal products. And then in the red category is everything junk, so like the over-processed foods with all the fatty, sugary, greasy, fried, the ones that you don't want to do. Again, this system, the traffic light thing, helps you because if you think in real life, to be honest, sometimes we all cross the red light. So, you know, when it's night and then no one's around, it's safe to do so. You kind of want to get home from a life trip. And you can try to go for the green ones. So try to eat more and more of the green ones. And less from the yellow and, well, mini red ones.
Exactly. Let's put this into a day, because if I'm thinking of, okay, I've got so many things that I can eat a day, and maybe this categorizes as red, this is yellow, this is all green. How much red and yellow can we actually eat?
So, well, I would say, you know, keep the red foods for special occasions or celebrations, or you go to friends and you want to make something very special, like a very, you know, like a super cake. I feel that very, you know, you like to bake. So, or if you want to go out with friends and you want to have a bit of cheese, or still transitioning, or you're still eating meat and you want to go to a barbecue and you want to join in, obviously it's fine, you know. So I would say, like, you know, once a month, or like a special occasion, really. Yellow ones, I would say, you know, easily like a couple times a week. And I wouldn't like to say numbers like that. If you have a day when you eat a bit worse, then just try to eat better. And it's not kind of like a log that you need to do 6 greens a week and then maybe 1 or 2 yellows, because you really feel you're thrown off that it's difficult to get back on. So I would always just say that even if you have a meal a day when you're not eating as healthy as you'd like, just next time try to throw in a couple portions of vegetables or the food that you know that are good for you. And for this, actually, to make sure that you can maintain a healthy whole foods diet on a daily basis, I actually borrowed another checklist from Dr. Michael Greger, who wrote How Not to Die, and he's an amazing nutritionist, pretty much worked a lot of years about whole food diet. And so basically this kind of helps you build up your daily intake, like food intake. This is called the dozen. And so basically there are, I think, 8 different categories of foods that you would like to incorporate, and kind of like the servings you want to incorporate from them. I also wanted to say that if anyone's really interested, there are 3 for Apple and Android both. That's just called Daily Dozen. And you can just download this and just follow your progress boxes off for yourself as you go. So if you actually want to like that, apps, so just Google it.
I'm going to actually add the link here in the chat so people can check it out later. I had a quick look at it yesterday and it looks really interesting. I think it's very addictive. For me, it would be very addictive. It's like a game, ticking off all the things that we still need to eat. Yes, you explain.
The first group is beans. So you can think of all type of beans, split peas, chickpeas, lentils. You can obviously buy them dry or in cans. We always keep tons of cans coming. That is very good, really handy and super fast to cook. 3 servings recommended of that. That's like 3 times like around 130, 150 grams. I don't think you have to very strictly follow that. The group would be berries. All sorts of berries you can think of, like strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, even grapes. I know they're not technically berries, but they are under this category. It's just 1 serving of like a big fistful or 2 fistfuls. Then 3 servings, other fruit. That can be any medium dried fruit, fresh fruit. Just eat your fruit. Then is cruciferous vegetables. That's a funny one. So basically it's all the vegetables that look like tiny trees. So for example, cauliflower, broccoli, and then leafy greens like bok choy, cabbage, even spinach. So like leafy greens are here as well. Then there's another 2 servings of greens and 2 servings of other vegetables. I feel like as long as you try to incorporate a very colorful variety of vegetables, then you should be fine. And 1 serving of flax seeds is recommended. I really do recommend ground flax seed. I always put it in my porridge, for example. You don't even feel it, and it's full of iron, omega-3. Omega-3 studies say that if you eat plant-based, they say that you can't get, like the main source is fish. Plenty of plants full of omega-3, so flax seeds is a great source for that. And there's also a portion of nuts recommended. One of the best nuts is walnut. It helps your brain a lot. Or a Brazil nut. 1 Brazil nut a day. It has a lot of selenium. That is otherwise a nutrient quite difficult to get. But honestly, even peanuts, almonds, and also in this category, the nut butters. So peanut butter people, there you go. Keep eating your peanut butter.
Very guilty.
We go.
It goes so fast. Never enough.
I know. And there's another serving of spices. So when I say spices, I think mostly like turmeric, ginger, curcumin that's in turmeric, black pepper, garlic, and there's plenty more. Basically like a nice group of spices just in your food. 3 servings of whole grain. This can be your quinoa, rice, buckwheat, or even whole wheat pasta. So even pasta can come here, even if it's not whole wheat, it would be still, but it's not a whole grain. And just make sure that you drink enough. There's 5 versions of beverages, anything you drink on top of all the liquid that you take in with your food. And then just an extra one, the 1 serve of exercise recommended. That's just good to follow. And I know this looks like a lot, and it's also just like a big list, but I just kind of want to show you through a day how easily you can take off almost all boxes.
It's funny because we spoke about this already, and this month we have been speaking about Ayurveda a lot, and I always like seeing how in our, let's say, modern ideas of diets or healthy living, the same ingredients come back, and it's all categorized in very similar categories. Is not the same, but it's very similar. Let's see if there's any questions from the people that are watching about the servings or the ingredients that we should consume every day. Jed has a question. Are all pastas vegan, or should I check every single one that I buy? Good question. Really good question.
So I would say that you're fine with most of the pastas. Usually the special ones that have eggs in it. As a rule of thumb, I would definitely say to just always the ingredients list, especially because the things that can be vegan in are either eggs, for some reason milk, I can imagine, and those they will always be highlighted. But as I said again, in the UK, you're mostly fine from unless you go for some fancy schmancy pasta.
Yeah, it really, really depends on where you live. Actually, now that you mention it, I think it was a few months ago I said I will never go vegan because I love cheese too much. And I changed my mind. I changed my mind. I watched a few documentaries and I thought, you know what, it's actually time to give this a try. And I thought it would be really, really difficult because I love cheese. I love milk products, dairy products, and I thought it would be impossible for me not to go a day or a week, let's say, without cheese. But it was so much easier than I thought. Still going strong. I've had a cheat day. I'm going to be honest. I had a cheat day. I ate some cheese and some fish. But in general, it's so much easier than I thought. But one of the things is like pasta. A lot of products that you buy in a supermarket do have some kind of non-vegan products or ingredients in them. And it can be very confusing, especially if you live in a country like Spain or maybe even Italy, like you said, Hungary as well. It's just not per definition all vegan. One of the questions that I had is when you buy a product and it says it could contain traces of milk or nuts or what else do they put on there? Gluten, stuff like that. What do you normally do?
The packaging, all these things that they may contain are allergen. Legal reasons that they have to put it on the packaging, that it was produced in the same facility or the same factory that they produced this item. They didn't put it in, but they cannot promise there was no cross-contamination. So I personally go with the may contain items, but personally I still consider that vegan. So as long as it's not your actual allergy, I would say that the may contain allergens that are sometimes non-vegan are usually fine.
Exactly. I think that's a big relief for many people because that means there's just so many options, so many more options. So yes, really good points. Really good points.
I just wanted to quickly say, similarly, when some pre-made products have the label that it's suitable for vegetarians, it's still worth it. Just flip it around and have a browse through the ingredients list because a lot of times they are actually vegan. Maybe have updated the label, or maybe I actually don't know if you have to submit like a special request for the vegan label. Products are technically vegan, so it's good to have a look there as well.
Another question, now that you mention all these things, if you do switch to a whole foods diet or let's say a vegan diet, do you need to take any supplements or vitamins?
The good thing about having a whole food plant-based diet is that there's almost nothing there's almost no micro or macronutrient that you wouldn't get in. And what's even better than supplements is that they come in the full package. So a lot of the times supplements, they isolate one ingredient from natural protein and they put it in and give it to you. But many researches showed, a lot of showed that when you take original stuff, the original packaging with the original other things, the good things are in hand. So you enjoy even more benefit than just taking supplements. So, but there are a few that they are good, especially if you're a beginner. So one of these are vitamin B12. This vitamin is in like streams and the soil and kind of like through the dirt, we used to pick it up. Or, if the animals drink from the stream, they take it up and then we take it up from them. But that doesn't really happen. Like these days, even the animal products fortified with B12. A lot of like milks fortified with B12. So you don't even necessarily have to take that supplement in because they already fortify other products with it. And what I take as a supplement, it was actually omega-3 because that's usually supplemented from fish liver. But to be honest, I never really felt that I lack it. All the plants in my diet kind of make for it. Especially people are sometimes worried about iron. If you a bit of extra spinach or even black pepper or cumin is very good for iron. So you can easily get enough of that as well.
And I see Jenna's got another question and she's asking, are all corn products vegan? I'm not sure about that.
I think all of them are vegetarian. They're not all vegan. Whoever doesn't know, corn brand foods or frozen foods, they also have like nuggets or like frozen mock meat, let's say, or mince, which is great. But again, this is also quite processed.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't is mostly avoiding it. But if you maybe just want like chicken pieces or veggie stir fry, obviously much better than chicken, so go for it. But again, I'm afraid not all corn products are vegan, and so have a look at ingredients.
Exactly. I like what you said. Again, they are very processed as well. Just because they are substitutes doesn't make them let's say the better food, not a bad food, but not the better food. Cool, good questions. One thing we wanted to mention about prices, because a lot of the time when people consider switching to a whole foods diet, they think it's a lot more expensive. I definitely thought it was going to be more expensive because fresh fruit and veg, normally they seem more expensive. But at the end, in the end of the day, I'm spending way less money than I used to because I feel like it lasts much longer.
I do agree. Like a lot of people do think that going vegan is more expensive, but it's also kind of because if you compare sausage, a regular sausage with a plant-based sausage, maybe there is a or regular bacon, plant-based bacon, all these fancy new alternatives. But to be honest, on a whole food diet, you eat mostly vegetables, grains, and fruits. And you can buy them in bulk. That's a very good thing of them. A lot of things you can buy in dry, so the shelf life is longer. And also, vegetables are very filling.
That is one thing that really amazed me. Like you get much fuller, much quicker, and it stays for longer as well. Because I think a lot of the time when we eat, let's say, processed food, it's also more addictive. So you want more and more and more of it. And this doesn't really happen with whole foods.
I want to snack on the thing is, you're kind of addicted about the sugar, the additives, the fat. That's how it's designed. That's how they are marketing. And to say that you said that was a very good upside, like surprisingly less expensive than expected. The other thing people kind of report when they go diet, they're always worried of what they can do, what they can make, is they just think limited. So basically, if you start transitioning, let's be honest, we always wrote 7, 8, 9 foods, pretty much. You take 3 of that, that's already technically vegan. For example, like a pasta with marinara sauce, and instead of meat, you put some veg in it, or a curry, don't put meat in it. So you take 3 of the ones that are technically, then you take maybe another 3 that you simply, with an easy swap, veganize. Take 2, 3, or 4 more that you just explore. There's so many recipes out there, and that 10 you can rotate it, and people do find new ideas, keep looking for new things, and then you realize how simple it is.
It really stimulates your creativity. I've definitely noticed this when I started. I had a whole list of ingredients and recipes that I wanted to try. It's been 6-7 weeks now, and I'm still with that list, and I haven't tried everything yet. And I swear to God, I haven't made one thing twice. So it keeps going. And I think, like you said, there's so many things that you can go. I really like to think of, let's say, Mexican food. There's all these types of different Mexican dishes, but in the end, they always use the same ingredients, and they just switch it around and maybe a little bit more of this and a little bit less of that. And it's something else. It's called something else. But in the end, it's the same ingredients. So that's the same with this thing. Although there are shitloads, many, 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 many ingredients that you can use.
Yeah.
And it changes with the season. Especially if you live in Europe and there's different seasons every 3 months, there's different ingredients in the supermarket as well.
Yes, definitely.
Jenna's asking if you can advise about vegan sources of omega-3.
So I think off of my head, I mentioned already, is flax seeds. So a tablespoon of ground flax seeds a day covers more than 100% of your required per day. So more than enough, so there's plenty in it. I think that chia seeds also have omega-3, but I'm not entirely sure about it. To be honest, I can't really think of any more right now, which I'll have a look, but flax seeds definitely.
I'm not sure if this is true. I saw, have you seen Seaspiracy yet? It's on Netflix right now. It's really, really, really good. But they mentioned algae.
Yes. So basically seaweed. eat your sushi
Seaweed.
and extra seaweed in it. Of course, algae.
You can buy it in the supermarket, right? Here in Spain you can. I don't know if you can in the UK.
So in the UK, my go-to is the Asian section where you can buy, you know, specific ingredients, and they sell like the sushi sheets. Sometimes I even just chop it up and just use that as an ingredient, like flakes. But you can also, like from a bit more special shops, you can get wakame seaweed flakes is also good, especially if you like this flavor, this fishy kind of sea flavor.
I love it.
No,
I really, it's delicious. If there's one thing that's addictive, I really could eat that all day. It has this very special texture, and yeah, no, I really like it. Not the dried stuff, the like slippery stuff that they put on sushi, but
yeah,
like jelly. It looks like jelly.
yeah.
All right. Let's speak about some ideas that you can eat during the day.
Just from the top of my head, what I would eat in the day. First example, let's say for breakfast, I would have myself an oatmeal, a nice porridge. But obviously it's not just oat milk, but how I like to have my porridge is with flax seeds. So that takes off one portion of flax seeds for us. Then I like to add chia seeds as well, optional. Obviously the oats, so that takes off one of our whole grains. Then we have seeds in it, then a fistful of berries, frozen or fresh. You can also take off one of your berry servings. I personally like to start with the mashed banana. The oatmeal itself is creamier, so that also takes off another fruit. And then you've got a bit of milk and peanut butter. Put peanut butter on butter, just a fistful of nuts on top. And then with breakfast, you already ticked off 5 things from your list. Then let's say you have a light snack during the day. So if you have maybe a bit of hummus with some vegetables, then you can take off some other veg. And you can also take off one of your beans because, you know, hummus is made of chickpeas. So you're good with that. And then for like a dinner, let's say, we can make like a nice Buddha bowl. Spinach in it, you've got broccoli, you've got some cabbage, you've got a bit of tofu. Tofu is made by fermented soybeans. Soybeans are your second servings of beans are ticked off. You can also add some sweet corn or beans, and then you're done with the beans for the day. And then you can add a bit of carrots to it, very rich Buddha bowl. And if you have the whole thing with brown rice, then your whole grains are also done. Basically, what I'm left with is spices. Obviously, you're going to put some spices in your curry, all the turmeric, garlic, black pepper, just with nice taste nice, and then you're sorted for that too. If you make sure you drink during the day, you slip in a little exercise, and then you're pretty much done with these 2 meals and a snack for the day. If you'd like to think of a light snack or of like a light lunch, you make a split pea soup. Then you can also take off the beans, you take off some greens, make your own bread. You can put flax seeds in it, like to have your avocado on toast. You have it on your own toasted bread.
I think you should come back one day and show us how you make these things. Because I'm listening and I'm like, okay, how am I going to remember all of this? I think these are amazing tips. They're so useful. I think it will be very useful for many. But we have a list for you guys, and if you like it, just get in touch and we can send it to you, just so you don't feel overwhelmed now and you're not sure how to remember everything. You mentioned servings, but I always get confused because my servings are very different to my friend's servings. How much is a serving?
So it really depends on what we're talking about. So for example, from spices, obviously we're talking about more of like a teaspoon or half a teaspoon. When we're talking about fruits, I would just think of like a medium sized fruit, nothing too small, too big. If you're thinking cut fruit or frozen, then I would say like 120 grams. I think with the whole grains as well, around 130 grams. Same with the beans. With the greens, so like with the lighter vegetables, they do have bigger volume but less weight. So I would say it's more of like 60-70 grams. 2 fistfuls of fresh spinach, let's say. Something reasonable.
Exactly. Yes. I think listen to your body. You know how much you need. You also know how much you like.
Yeah.
You know when maybe it's too much. It's difficult to say sometimes when you really like something, but in general, especially with these, like you mentioned earlier, you get full much faster. And I think because it's not as addictive, it's easier to realize when you have enough. Go with a question. Please share some ideas about how to use nutritional yeast. I'm a newbie and I bought a tin and now I don't know how to. Yes, very good question. I want to add to it. So we want to know about yeast and about chickpea flour. I bought it because it was on sale, but I haven't used it yet.
Start with nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is one of my favorite things. You can use it in a tofu scramble. It helps to make it a bit more juicy, a bit more eggy, nice, a bit more yellowy. I like to put nutritional yeast in basically any type of sauce I do for like pasta, creamy based ones or tomato based ones. They both get a couple tablespoons of nutritional yeast in it because it kind of makes it thick and it gives really, really nice flavor. You can also use nutritional yeast on top of any meal, as if you were putting grated cheese on top of your spaghetti. You can sprinkle some nutritional yeast like that and then just stir it in. You can actually make vegan cheese sauce or a mac and cheese. I'd make that soaked cashews. And once you blend those cashews, you mix that with nutritional yeast, and then you can have sauce for mac and cheese or bechamel. So like all that type of thing, I would say.
What about chickpea flour? Don't worry if you don't know, because I don't think it's a very common thing.
One thing you can do with it is you can make seitan. They usually make it from wheat gluten. Seitan with chickpea flour instead of wheat gluten, because we know someone who's gluten-free. I wanted to recreate the recipe. And interestingly, it came out tasting more like turkey ham.
Okay.
But if you make seitan of chickpea flour, it tastes a bit more like white meat than, darker meat. So from chickpea flour, I would try to bake some type of flat bread, even something that you can cut up and eat with hummus or just. So I would definitely use it as flour for like more savory type of like bread.
Interesting. I should look into it a little bit more because I don't want it to just sit there and wait for a rainy day. Okay, if there's any more questions that maybe you think of later, send them to us. We're going to find out if we don't know, do some research and let you know. And if you have any other requests, things that you would like to know more about, let us know as well, because we're going to be back in April. The rest of April, we'll be speaking about yoga teacher training. So the topic changes a little bit, but it will help you to become better teachers, become more confident, and really teach from your own experiences and the things that you like. I really, really appreciate your attendance here, your attention, and all your great questions. Really, really nice having you here. Anka, thank you so much for your time, for sharing all your wisdom with us. It's been really, really nice hearing new things, and I can't wait to speak to you again.
Thank you so much for having me. I cannot wait. I'm so glad that people are interested.
Me too. It's real fun. Thank you so much. See you later.
You listen to Your Yoga in English, brought to you by Enga Unite, a unique online learning platform for non-native English-speaking yogis and yoga teachers. If you feel inspired and liked what you learned today, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow us at Enga Unite and become a member of our online community, Your Yoga in English, on Facebook. Practice, rest, repeat, and all will come.